Hey guys, it's Eric from Vegan Ostomy, and today I just want to give you a review on the Coloplast SenSura Xpro Wafer and their click pouches. Now for this video, I'm only going to be showing you the 11135, which has no filter. I do have the 11125 here, but the filter sucks, so I don't really want to talk about it. If you do use it and the filter works for you, that's great. I found it to be completely useless, so I just won't bother talking about it. It will be in my written review, but for now I'm going to focus on this one. So to start the review, I just want to talk about the wafer first. Now, this is the SenSura Xpro wafer. There are many different styles available for this particular wafer. So they have some with convexity. This one happens to be flat. They have pre-cut, custom cut. So they really do have a lot of options available, and there's also an extended wear and a standard wear. I tend to use the extended wear because I do have an ileostomy, and the Xpros tend to be for aggressive ileostomy or urostomy output. So if you find that the extended wear wafers irritate your skin, then perhaps try one of the standard wear. But just to talk a little bit about the wafer, it's an oval shape. This kind of replaces the SenSura product, which is circular, and unlike the Hollister with a tape border, this is kind of like a semi-rigid plastic. Now that has some pros and cons. One of the problems that I found with it is that the bottom of the edge here, that tends to dig into my skin, and after prolonged periods of time, maybe a few days or a few weeks of wearing it like that, I start to get a bit of irritation there. It almost looks like it's cutting into the skin. Now I came across a few other ostomates online who had similar problems, and a lot of them end up just changing brands or just changing product altogether, whereas I kind of want to work with what I've got, and I've come up with a solution. I'll probably post a video giving instructions on how I cope with it. But essentially what I do is I take the Opsite FlexiFix film. It's a very thin, clear film, and I put that over my skin first, and then I place the wafer on top of that. And that film acts as a physical barrier as opposed to some of those barrier wipes, which is more of a chemical barrier. And I find that it really resolves the issue. So if you do have any irritation around your wafer, you might want to give that a shot. But in any case, the wafer is fairly flexible. If you have a hernia or you have skin that isn't perfect, then it may not conform as well as some of the other products out there, like the SenSura Mios. So if you fall into that category, you may want to try the Mios first. But if you don't, give these a shot, especially if you're very active. I find that this wafer really takes a great deal of punishment, whether it's sweat or water or moving around. It really copes with a lot of the activity that I throw at it. Other parts about the wafer that I tend to find, that I tend to appreciate, I should say, is that the plastic is pretty easy to cut. I mentioned in the last review that I did for the Hollister New Image wafer, when you start cutting their wafer, it tends to be very jagged, and it's like a hard plastic, but it's not like that on the Xpro. It's nice and soft, so that when you go to pre-fit the wafer before you actually take the release liner off, it doesn't cut your stoma or it doesn't create any issues like that. So that's another positive. Another thing that's different between the Xpro and the Hollister products that I've noticed is that the belt tabs are on the actual wafer, whereas in the Hollister products you'll notice that they're on the pouch. Now, I think the reason for that is because this coupling is a locking coupling, you don't really have to be redundant with having belt clips on the pouch and then having a lock also on the pouch. It kind of doesn't make sense to do that. So I can understand why they have the belt tabs on here. So that's it for the review on this wafer. It does last about, I get about 3 days wear. Although it is an extended wear product. Some people may get 7 days, other people may get 2 days. It really depends on the type of output that you have, the condition of your skin, and other variables like that. So I would recommend even just grabbing samples and trying it out yourself. This tends to be a product that I always come back to, especially after doing reviews. I want to, set myself up with a baseline so that my skin is at a condition that I know is, healthy, and that's what I tend to use. Now let's talk pouches. This is part of the SenSura Click line of products from Coloplast. It is compatible with that Xpro wafer, but it's also compatible with the Assura wafers. Now, as I mentioned with the base plate, the pouch has a locking mechanism. And that's pretty different from some of the other brands that you might be familiar with, which tend to have more of a Tupperware type coupling or an adhesive coupling. But what I really like about this particular locking mechanism here and the whole coupling itself is that you can actually rotate the pouch when it's on you. And for some that may not make much sense, why you would want to do that, but if you have a product like the Stealth Belt, or if you feel more comfortable keeping your pouch horizontal, this comes in handy. I know with some other products you actually have to remove the pouch, then rotate it, and then kind of put it back together. But then you have issues with leakages or potential leakages and just full-out problems with it, not attaching back on properly. So this really avoids that, and you can just rotate it back and forth as much as you like, and then relock it, and everything is good to go. So that's a really great feature. Unfortunately, it does add a little bit of bulk to the product. So I mean, if you can deal with that, if you can live with that, then it's a great idea. It's a great thing to have on there. But if you absolutely need it to have a very, very slim profile, then that might not be for you. Especially if you're using certain accessories like stoma guards. I know that sometimes if you have to get a perfect fit on there and that extra piece of plastic is sticking out, you may not get a perfect fit. So if that applies to you, I would suggest either putting the lock down on the bottom or on the side, or perhaps just going with another product altogether if it's not working for you. So just moving along now, I mentioned that this product does not have a filter on it. They do have filtered versions, but they don't work very well, at least not for me. I find that they tend to clog within about 24 hours, which really isn't that good because you end up having ballooning every night after that. And I usually put an Osto Easy Vent on there to kind of mitigate that problem, but I would really prefer a filter that works rather than having to go through third-party solutions that I have to actually do myself. Now the fabric on this is a lot better than Hollister's, and if you're a Hollister user, you probably understand what I'm talking about, because I find that after about 2 or 3 days of wearing the Hollister product, it begins to fall apart. The material, for some reason, it starts to literally come apart. It doesn't look very good. I mean, it looks like you've been wearing it for weeks, and I just don't find that to happen with the Coloplast product. The fabric dries fairly quick, not as fast as the Mio's, but definitely faster than the Hollister's, and it's nice and smooth. It is comfortable. Now, one of the big parts, obviously, if you're emptying your pouch throughout the day, is the outlet. Now, I find that Coloplast probably has the best outlet design out of all the manufacturers out there, and I like it for many reasons. One is because they use this Velcro closure. I'm not a fan of clips. I think it adds a lot of bulk, especially if you're tucking your pouch underneath your pants or underneath your clothing. And I know some people, they tend to break their clips accidentally, and then they always have to keep a spare. I don't go for that sort of thing. So I really do appreciate that Coloplast uses the Velcro closure. And another really neat thing about the SenSura, which I find is not on the Assura line, is this little flap here. You can actually keep open because there are some other Velcro pieces there. I'll post a picture so you can get a close-up. But what that allows you to do is you keep that flap basically away from any of your output, and then you can easily open that outlet, and then you can drain your pouch, clean it, and I find this to be very easy to clean, very easy to empty. It is a very well-designed product. Now, once you're done with that, you simply just roll it back, and then you have Velcro here to keep things in place. Now I've never had a leak through the bottom here. I'm pretty OCD when it comes to cleaning it, so that could be part of it, but I also make sure that everything is closed properly. I know some people, maybe if they're in a rush, they may not close it properly and then they blame the product for failing. I've really never had an issue with this leaking on me. I don't see how it can fail, to be honest with you. Even with heavy ballooning, it just doesn't come out, doesn't open up or anything like that. Now I did want to mention this little Velcro piece here, because if you've probably seen in my past video, Hollister for some reason doesn't have that little Velcro attachment. And what tends to happen is the bottom of their outlet dangles down and you're kind of just there with this bottom part hanging out, you know, underneath your shirt or on your pants and things like that, and it gets really annoying. I'm really glad to see that Coloplast was able to put one of the Velcro tabs there, and then you can basically tuck that in neatly and you don't have to worry about that coming out. It's a great little addition, but it makes so much of an impact when you're wearing this day in and day out, and it's just one of those things that keeps everything nice and tidy. So other than that, I will mention that the Click line does have a close-ended pouch, so if you have a colostomy or if you're using pouch liners and you don't necessarily need a drainable pouch, that's one option for you. And they also have transparent pouches. Now the great thing about the transparent pouches is if you have a pouch cover, you can see inside of your pouch if, for example, you need to keep an eye on your stoma, perhaps it's after surgery, or you just find that sort of thing interesting. You can take a peek and see what's going on inside, and with the addition of a pouch cover, other people don't have to see that sort of thing. So overall, I think the SenSura Click line is a great product. If you haven't tried any of them, give Coloplast a call. They're extremely helpful. They will send out samples for you to try. And I do urge that you try a few of their different ones. You may not like the filter on there, so go with the filterless. You may not like the pre-cut, so go with one of the custom cut wafers. So you do have many options. They literally have dozens of SKUs to choose from, so go ahead and try some samples. Now I will have a full written review on the veganostomy.ca blog, so if you want to check that out and leave me some comments, I'd really appreciate it. Okay? Till next time. Bye-bye.